This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Emotionally unavailable.
Audience, I've just informed Laura, who we're welcoming back, that oftentimes when I'm recording these, I'm not wearing a bra, so I thought I'd let you in on a laugh. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm so excited to see you.
Thank you.
I really hope that you're going to continue to be a recurring guest because I value our conversations a lot. We had kind of decided the last time you left that this time we would hit on spirituality a little bit. So I could talk about that all day, every day, and do actually. So I don't know what direction of spirituality you're kind of wanting to take things in, but I'm here for the ride, sister.
Where I would love to start is sharing my own experience, how spirituality has been a gift and also how it has not helped me move forward in healing.
Oh,
So what I would love to do is start with talking about spiritual bypassing.
Girl,
and how that
preach.
how that actually blocked, because I didn't do this intentionally, but now that I'm thinking about it, that actually led me down a path of not healing before I got to the gift of spirituality that was deeply healing. And so that's why I would love to set the stage with how I used and what I mean by spiritual bypassing. Because when I first heard that, I was like, oh, that is weird. I've never heard that before. Y'all are crazy. So
yeah. Okay.
So
So
that's
here's where I want to pause for 1 second because I want to try to guess if you're going to say something. But also, I think it's important to note that spiritual bypassing, as we're going to get into the meaning of, can happen no matter what level of spirituality you are. Because I consider myself not on the deepest end of the woo, but because I'm not going to say why, but I'm just not. I'm not the lowest for sure. And I'm probably, let's call me neo-spiritual. So I'm a little, left of the average or right, whichever case maybe. So I'm a little more spiritual than like your average spiritual person. I'm pretty woo-woo, but I'm not the deepest form of spiritual you could be, So anyway, and then I also wondered, okay, I'm not even going to ask a question. I'm just seeing if like an intuitive hit was correct, kind of. And now I wish I hadn't told you that. But I'm wondering if good God, am I manic today? What's going on? Full moon energies. I'm wondering if where we're going to is one of the reasons spirituality prevented you from healing in the area of bypassing is the whole like just shaming and judging the shit out of yourself for not, like, a mindset thing, like, oh, I'm supposed to dig deep or whatever Tony Robbins would say,
100%. I'm never good enough. And that's how the shaming looked like for me. I'm never good enough, so let me put myself down.
Yeah.
And very specifically, instantly what comes to my mind, a very practical example of what I mean by this is I don't pray enough. if I prayed more, I would be more spiritual. I'd be a better person. And I mean, this is like embarrassing to say out loud when I think back but literally, I thought if I was not praying every second, I was not doing spirituality. I wasn't a spiritual
Yeah.
person. I wasn't connected to spirit. And like,
You know what's
and
hilarious to
I mean
me?
like obsessive. Like,
No, I
I,
totally understand what you mean. I can resonate with this so hardcore. Mine looks a little different in that my shame came from and this is actually hilariously enough something I just like released an episode with someone else about, but what I noticed was this this is a recent struggle is my shame was I'm allowing things to bother me. That hurt my feelings. You're not spiritual enough. That irritated me. You're not spiritual enough. Literally. And I've been on this road
yep,
for fucking
yep,
2 years. Okay. And still, this exact
yep,
same little pattern pokes itself at me over and over. And now it's
yep,
a little harder to see than it was when I first figured it out. So I'm like, why is that
right?
upsetting me? And then after I do all the work, I'm like, damn it. It's the same damn thing. I was just shaming myself.
Yep, exactly. And that literally, I can look back now, think back now, remember back, and like when I would like walk into a restaurant with friends in college, I vividly remember, oh, I need to pray for everyone in the restaurant as I walk in, as the hostess seats us at our
Oh,
table, and
no.
I mean, like, then that makes me a good spiritual person. It was like every single moment as I'm walking to class, I need to pray for all the professors and all the teachers. And again, that's what I mean, and that's exactly what you're saying about the spiritual bypassing. It wasn't I'm hesitating because 'cause I'm trying to say it clearly. It was all about me. It wasn't about other people. It wasn't about
Yeah.
my connection to spirit and me truly helping other people. It was like, I have to do this to make myself good enough. If I
Yeah, so it was
know that I prayed,
performative.
it's performative,
Yeah, but it
1000%.
was also just fear-based.
Fear when oh my gosh, that was the 2 words. You summed it up perfectly. You summed up what I was hesitating and trying to put it put into words. Performative and fear-based.
Wow.
And so, again, spiritual bypassing, what it was for me and what I've seen and witnessed and observed in other people, it blocks us from our reality. So,
Mhm.
I use prayer as oh, let me pray for everyone as I'm walking to class rather than saying, let me just acknowledge my anxiety and my fear about going to this class today.
Yes, yes, yes.
If
Well,
I
because
had
what you're
just,
describing really perfectly is anxiety. That I mean,
right,
that's what you're describing, and any anxiety comes from a feeling that you're unwilling to acknowledge.
right, from 1%. And if I had just said, I am so anxious going to this class, I am so nervous, I am so fearful, then I could have addressed it and worked through it. But by
Yeah.
covering up, saying, I need to pray for everybody, that just made my anxiety skyrocket. And that resulted in a panic attack.
Oh, honey, yes. Well, and this makes so much sense to me though, because okay, for our audience, because I fucking am not doing introductions anymore. So, for our audience who, if this is their first time hearing you, I'm just gonna let them know that
Yes.
you have, I think what is it, like a shit. I don't want to word this wrong. Is it a
Just
degenerative condition?
yes, yes. Where
Okay.
as a teenager, I became totally, completely blind.
Right, so by college, you're completely blind. So your
Right. With a
body
guide
has
dog.
betrayed you in the
Right.
most significant way possible. And
Right.
also, any god that you believe in has also betrayed you. Now, those are feelings that you had to work through,
Right.
but you've lived through every bit of that experience. And even though
Right.
you worked through all that betrayal, your nervous system is still gonna say, hey,
Right.
guess what? At any time, at any fucking time, you can walk down the sidewalk on the way to class and, you might lose your hearing this time. You might die. Someone
Yep.
you know might die. Like the world
Yep.
is unsafe. And by the
Right.
way, I will link
Right.
our other 2 episodes together in the show notes before I forget to say that. But yeah, it's kind of like me, how when my dad died at 15, everyone was going to die. This is something like
Right.
I literally
This is
just
the
checked my
pattern.
husband's breathing this morning. Like it happens, it's not even just since Jake died. This
Yeah.
has happened to me since I was 15 years old, where I was like, oh, people die. And guess what? If it can't happen, it will happen to me and blah, 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 blah.
Yep. Yep.
You're unsafe. That's all that is. You feel unsafe. And
Yep.
not only could you not say that to yourself, you couldn't then voice it out. And that's so
Right.
much of what my learning has been recently is if I can just get the shit out of my head, it's
Mhm.
gone. I
It's
don't even
gone.
need anyone necessarily to validate or
Right.
console most of the
Right.
time. I just need to say it so that it stops gaining power and momentum.
Right. And it blocks us from healing.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't get out of our head, it blocks us from healing. Because I
Yes.
wasn't going around telling everyone I'm praying for them. Like,
No.
I wasn't doing that. So nobody knew what was going on in my head. Like you said, in my nervous system, nobody knew this was going on. It just looked like, oh, well, she's smiling like we've talked about before. Last time we connected, we were perfect at carrying that, holding that mask, right? Like, I'm
Oh,
happy, I'm
yeah.
good, I'm positive. So, because I wasn't
And
expressing my
strong and
anxiety,
amazing.
yeah, exactly. No one knew I had this loop going on in my head of like, I've got to pray for everybody, so that'll make me a better person. Then I'll be performing great, and then my fear will magically go
Yes.
away. And that's exhausting.
It is exhausting. I mean, it's really not unlike the mom who is over taking responsibility for her household, or even the
Right.
wife who feels like they have to meet their spouse's every need,
Every need.
or the
Right.
person who's still catering to their parents, or
Right.
the person who, in their own religious slash spiritual experience thinks that they have to do it all right, all perfect, or
Right.
else they're, never going to make it to
Right.
heaven or whatever their thing
Right.
is. I mean,
Right.
I have a friend who struggles with OCD and her thing is germs, like
Yeah.
it's very serious and it's very real. And I know that something inside of her tells her she's unsafe and everyone will die if she doesn't do these things. And I mean, I've tried to talk to her about like, girl, you need to address your feelings, but she ain't listening to me. So, but it burns you out
It
from the
does.
inside out. It
It
really does. I
does.
mean, it's exhausting. This is why so many people are suffering from autoimmune disorders. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say that's the only cause of them, but I do know stress is a leading cause of them.
Leading
And
cause.
when
Yep.
we say stress, we need to start getting very specific. Stress isn't life events that affect you mentally, physically, or
Right.
emotional. It is emotions that you keep in your body and don't let out.
Don't let out. That you hold, you cling to.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I was clinging to that anxiety because, again, I thought if I let it out, what you just said, like, "Oh my gosh, what trauma is gonna happen now? If I express my
Oh, yeah.
anxiety," like you said, "am I gonna lose my hearing? Is someone gonna die? Am I gonna be able to walk?" It's like, I thought acknowledging that anxiety, I would literally just be in this vortex, that anxiety the rest of my life. I didn't realize acknowledging it brought healing.
Yes. What's crazy for me is because of the type of religious teachings that I was brought up with, I was taught very explicitly that you don't talk about your fears because the devil could use them against you.
Right, right. Me too.
And
Me
yeah,
too.
so I remember that being an active thought. And then even when I deconstructed from religion and moved to a more spiritual place, I thought something would get power. Maybe
Right,
not the devil, but like
right.
something. I'd be relinquishing my
Yep,
own power. And it took a while to realize like A, that's your programming, but B, that's your nervous system. And all it knows to keep you safe is you don't let this shit out. And so I
right.
think this is actually a very common thing that people were taught, whether it had a religious overtone or not.
Tone.
I really
Yeah.
do. I think people were taught you don't talk about it. And even,
Mhm.
Laura, have you ever even seen movies that kind of,
Oh,
reinforce that programming?
1000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know this has been a reoccurring thought and feeling my whole life. Even when it wasn't being said to me, I know that it's been reinforced by society at large. Like, you just don't talk about it. And that and some other external force can also shame you a little bit because,
Right.
like, you're giving it power. Even if I'm not giving the power to an external force, you're giving the thing power. And it's like,
Thing
no,
power.
what's happening is I'm trying to get some semblance of control in my life by engaging in a thought spiral that's going to go nowhere. If I can get tangled up in something that can go round and round for infinity, I don't ever actually have to address what's going on in myself.
Right. And that's going to keep me safe. I want to
Exactly.
highlight that point because that was my experience. I'm keeping myself safe by not expressing my anxiety.
Yeah.
And so if that's the main takeaway people hear from today is express what you're feeling. And we
Yeah.
don't mean in
I'm
a victim, like walk around the world and be like, hey, world, I have anxiety, feel sorry for me, but like an empowering, I'm enough. And so I can express this anxiety.
Yes, because nobody on this earth is ever without some fear, some stress,
Right.
some anxiety. Like, that was a thing
Right.
for me. I kind of thought that the spiritual gurus I was kind of idolizing for a hot second, which,
Right.
by the way, don't even have a face. Like, this isn't anyone in real life. Like,
Right.
I haven't seen a video, or this is all conjured in my imagination.
Right.
But, like, I was like, there are these people on this earth who are fucking unbothered by any and everything because they know they're so tapped in. And I'm like, okay, maybe them Buddhists up in the mountains who
Yep.
don't have to deal with other humans, and
Right.
they don't have financial stress because all they wear is leaves and whatever. Yeah, they probably are perpetually unbothered, and God love them for it. But all us normal folk out here trying to, talk to people and whatever, and get irritated and
Yep.
have PMS and all the things. Yeah,
Right.
we're not unbothered, and that's actually part of our magic, is to
Right.
see what bothers me and why. Like, why does that
Yeah.
bother me? If you're a person
Yeah.
who's committed to growth, you got to be bothered, man. You got to be
Right.
bothered by stuff. And actually, there's way too much in this world happening to be unbothered. You got to be
Right.
bothered. You got to be a
Right.
little bit bothered by some stuff. If you want to
Yes.
change, if you want the world to change, things have to bother you. But
Bother
I
you.
fully believed that I was defective,
Mhm.
that I just
Mhm.
couldn't quite measure up because I
Mhm.
couldn't get to this place where things didn't agitate me. And, like, this is such a well-timed conversation, like I freaking knew it would be, because this has been so much of the conversations over the last 2 weeks, is me going, "Hey," and that's what I think the world needs, is in real time, I'm
Mhm.
saying, "That shit really bugged me, man." And then I wanna figure out a little bit why it happened, but
Yep.
also just move on. Like,
Move
what's
on.
the next step?
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't even have to overanalyze it anymore. I'm a
Right.
human, and I'm allowed to feel the entire range of the emotions that we were given.
Okay, I want to highlight this point, and again, I want everyone to take this away because it was my experience, and I know this was your experience because you just shared it. And I wish if somebody had said this to me, it would have been an absolute game changer. I use spiritual bypass to think there was a point I should get to. I'm perfect when I get to that point. I'm not bothered.
Mhm.
I thought that was the goal of healing. I've reached spirituality. I've reached personal growth. I've reached, this whole like just positive world thing when
Mhm.
I'm not bothered. And that's what I use. That's what I mean by spiritual bypassing. I would say and think, oh, I'm not good enough yet because I just was anxious about that thought. I just was fearful. I just was overwhelmed. I just sobbed. See, look at you. You're not enough yet. Keep praying.
Yep.
I thought the goal of spirituality was perfection, never to be bothered. What I wish I realized is spirituality is a gift of support, exactly what you said, in our humanity. Spirituality is a gift of support when we experience the range of emotions.
Well, and for me, the whole bypassing aspect enters when I can just go, oh, you know how I'll fix that? Be better, be more perfect,
Right.
instead of going, what's
Right.
going on? Why, like,
Right.
wow, what
Exactly.
just
So, yeah,
happened?
for me, practice like, I'm bothered. Okay, let me pray more and that'll fix it. You're
Yeah,
right. It's like, how
yeah.
can I use spirituality to fix this rather than how can I use spirituality to work through this?
Yes.
That's
Yes,
the
because I
difference.
do lean heavily on spiritual philosophy whenever there are some questions you just can't answer otherwise for peace. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
like
Right.
me dealing with losing a child, lean very heavily on spirituality because
Right.
at the end of the day it was spirituality that taught me how to love myself so deeply and passionately that I made a very active decision Hey guys, it's me. Emotionally Unavailable is produced 100% in-house by me with no team. So if this show has ever helped you and you want to give back, subscribe to the Patreon. There's several different levels with different benefits in each. Check the show notes and you can see what each tier subscription will get you. I also plan to there's also lots of fun things coming down the pipeline for the Patreon subscribers. So get in early. You can get a workbook, you can buy merch, you can do any of the things, and all of that supports the show to help it keep going. Really appreciate every single one of you. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see what we continue to do together. I deserve love, peace, and abundance in this life, and joy no matter what. And so when no matter what became I lost my child, nothing changed. I decided back then, and I still decide today, I
Today.
deserve those things. And that is a choice. And I did, have to lean into my spirituality that I do still believe those things. And that um I get to choose the meaning and all of those things. That is all very spiritual principled for me. But I have to stay grounded in the reality that my nervous system is very much impacted by his death.
His
Still,
dad.
we're 3 months in. I don't know how long it's going to take for my nervous system to get it together, but it's still a daily struggle to be like, oh shit, I'm, a little overstimulated. I'm agitated. I'm so triggered by that person. My dog scared the shit out of me and I don't want my dog to die. There's like all these
Yep.
things that happen every single day. That's why being grounded in your
Yes.
humanity and let me
Right.
just say it this way, reality, you got to be anchored into this human experience if you want spirituality to accentuate your life. Like it's not an escape. And I do think if you and I and other
Yes.
people have this programming, and it's not just from a religious aspect. I
Right.
know
Right.
non-religious people have
Me
also
too.
come and said these things. I actually think there's a little too many gurus out there running around preaching quote unquote mindset work when they haven't taught anyone why the root, any of this is happening to them in the first place. Why are you
Sit in
triggered by
pain.
that? Any of those things. And, I guess, we're going to have all types in the world, but the program is coming from somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. And okay, again, I want to highlight what you said because it is so, so important. You said several times, I made the choice. And so you perfectly, do you even remember saying, when Jake died, I made the choice to lean into my grounding spirituality. Even today, 3 months later, I make the choice to lean into my grounding. So you just said what we talked about in real life. The goal is not end. There's not an end game of ta-da, life is perfect. I'm no longer grieving. The end game is to choose every single day to lean into spirituality and the gift of grounding and peace. Did you even realize you said that? Like you just highlighted the whole point of our conversation. It's about choice every day.
It really is, though. And
It's not about
it's
the
it's a
end.
series of choices. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
It's
Right.
just so and yeah, it does seem kind of laughable to think like ever that there was gonna be some destination. And I am a little, if I'm being honest, a little tired of learning the lesson. I mean, I really
Oh, it's
am.
exhausting.
I would like it to be a little easier sometimes, but it is a pattern that keeps resurfacing. And I think there's a
Yes.
really good reason for that. For one,
Yes.
so that we can have really transformative conversations like this, but
Conversation. Right.
also because every time I learn this lesson, I get to love myself even deeper.
Right. Even
Every
deeper.
single
Even,
time.
yeah. The self-compassion.
Absolutely.
And that's so that again, the spirituality is woven into our humanness, where spiritual
Mhm.
bypassing for me was, let me just focus on spirituality and not my humanness. And so that'll take
Yeah.
me somehow out of my humanness.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I had spiritual people say to me I mean, obviously even now, but in those high school, college days of, Laura, don't focus on like your grief. Don't focus on, the difficulty of losing your sight. There's a spiritual purpose. Just focus on that. And what I was teaching me was ignore your pain.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and how unfair is that?
Right.
With we know why people say things like that. It's because they're uncomfortable with your
Right.
feelings.
Right.
If you
They couldn't
express
stand my
something,
grief
they're
and my tears.
uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I actually just experienced this. So we found out, I think last week before last, that how Jake died is he ingested a very new synthetic opioid. He is
Okay.
the first documented case in Oklahoma.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's not there's been some cases in Tennessee. It's just not, it just is not a widespread thing yet. So it's pretty new. And so I made a social media post that got a lot of attention and was approached by a couple of news stations and did a couple of like broadcast news things.
Okay.
Well, I fucking knew because I've seen this before, but not to read the comments on any of the
Right.
article or
Right.
the news things.
Right.
But on accident, I saw a comment on the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics because they also issued a warning thanks to my broadcast.
Okay.
And at the on Facebook, at the bottom of the article, after I read it, the first comment, it previews and it was
Right.
shitty. And some people thought that it was okay to say that my precious 18-year-old child deserved to die because he did drugs. And, make comment on what kind of family he must be from, blah, 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 all this shit, right? Well,
What?
obviously, I had a little bit of a visceral reaction to this and
I
read
do
more than I
now, and
should
I'm
have,
not the mom. I'm not
right?
you.
And
Yeah.
so I posted about it. I screenshotted the comments that I had read and posted them on social media because I wanted people to see frankly, what people who have words like God and Jesus in their profile are saying about my kid.
Right.
And then I had to take the post down, not because of comments from shitty people, but all the people who were well-meaning and well-intentioned who love me, messaging me, being like, brush it off. And I know they were being nice, but they're like, just brush that off, blah, blah, blah. Don't fucking tell me how to feel about this.
Right.
And also, I think it's okay that I had a little bit of a reaction to people saying my kid deserved to die. I think that's okay. And I'll choose how I want to move forward with this. But I certainly am in my already overwhelmed state because I was getting so much traction because of the news stories. People I haven't seen in years were like, oh my God, I just saw you on the news.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. So I was really overwhelmed. And then to get like, it did agitate me, but I'm not mad at anyone. I knew they were just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe
Yes.
people said that to her." But like, also, don't tell me to brush it off.
Right.
That
Again,
Tell me
that
how
saying,
easy it would
"Don't
be for
feel the
you to brush it
pain."
off.
Right? That's what I was told.
Yes,
Don't feel the pain. Where what we need
exactly.
to hear is feel the pain and then figure out how to move forward.
Yeah, because guess what? I'd already figured out how to move forward before the first person even messaged me. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like, I was
Right.
like, "All right, girl, you know, it can't be personal if they didn't know him or you personally. So it's okay that you took it personal because it's personal to you,
'Cause
but
it's
it's not
personal to
personal to
you.
them.
Yep,
And
yep.
this behavior says a lot more about them than it could ever say about Jake making
Right,
the mistake of buying a pill that killed him.
right.
So, how do you want to move forward? And that meant unfollowing all the news stuff so that I didn't
Good,
because
perfect.
it's still circulating out there, and it kept
Of
popping up on
course.
my feed. And yeah, any of those sites, just unfollowing and letting people know, do not fucking mention the comments to me again. We're moving
Perfect,
on. But
perfect.
like I had to do that in my own way. You can't just let's not even say what they said to us. They completely invalidated us. That's
Right,
what they did. It's
exactly, that's
like,
the
oh, okay,
word.
crybaby. Mm-hmm.
That's the
Yeah.
word.
They invalidated us. And that's why we have to be so careful too when we are people who do this work, because there are enough people in this world telling you how what you're feeling, thinking, or saying is wrong.
Wrong.
There are enough people.
There are enough
And
people, yeah, and we're doing that to ourselves, right?
absolutely we
We're good in
are.
that. Yeah,
Oh, we're so good.
yeah,
We know exactly how to tear ourselves down.
yeah. Alright, so let's use that example because it's so real, it's so real world now, just currently happening. How was spirituality talk about how spirituality was a gift to help you make that decision to move forward.
Um, I think probably understanding my humanity so well through my spiritual self and giving
Yep.
myself permission to be as upset as I wanted to be about that. Like, I hesitated to post the post about the people who said the stuff because I didn't want to be seen as petty.
Right.
And I said, well, fuck it, be petty, girl. I mean, who cares? That's what this deserves, is for you to be like,
Right.
if that's what you wanted, it's a choice, and neither choice is wrong. You can act like it never happened publicly, or you can get on here and rant about it a little bit, and that's fine. Because all I said was, yo, this is jacked up, and this is why I do the work I do. That's what I
Good.
said.
Good.
And demonstrated how this is what people do, it to dismiss their feelings, because
Their opinion.
nobody, I don't believe that there's anyone on this earth, maybe 5 people on this earth, who
Uh,
could see a story like that and their very first reaction not be a punch in the gut. An
right.
18-year-old boy, his picture was on there, and he's beautiful, he's just beautiful with his curly hair. He's the face of this in Oklahoma now. I believe in us so much as humans that I know there wasn't a person who didn't go, "Holy God." And then they didn't register that, though, because they're
Right.
so used to going, "Let me figure out why it was their fault, though, so that I know this is never gonna touch
Yeah,
me."
exactly. Exactly.
I know
Exactly.
that. I
Exactly.
know that,
It
because
was
guess who used to do things very similarly? Me.
right.
Me.
Right.
I'd hear a story about the 2-year-old getting killed in a car crash, and I'd be like, "Okay, was she wearing a seatbelt? Oh, parents' fault.
Exactly.
Okay, good. I don't have to worry about
What
that."
kind of car seat? Okay, I'll never
Yes.
buy that brand of car seat. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah.
that is what we do to dismiss our own feelings. We have to dismiss the feelings of others. And that
Yeah.
was the very first thing I learned about becoming more emotionally available.
Yes.
Truly was. Quit dismissing the plight of others to provide a false sense of security to yourself. So
To
I
yourself.
knew that. But then so I did want to highlight that. I wanted it to be a teachable moment.
Yeah,
Turned
and
out
it
to be a pain in
was.
my ass, so I took the post down because I didn't want to hear anymore.
Right.
But I think understanding that I had permission to express that any way I wanted to without remorse. I was totally fine. Like, I didn't shame myself for being petty.
Petty.
Like, I didn't do any of that. I was just like, well, I'm making a choice. It's this one. I'm gonna post this, and then I'm gonna see what the next step is. And then the next step happened to be take the post down because my friends are getting on my nerves. Okay, cool.
Right.
And then, but it actually did give me the ability to say some other things that I had, like, been holding in, which this is hard for me to say out loud because it feels embarrassing, but, like, I was getting a little bit agitated anyway from all of the, oh my gosh, it must have been so hard for you to do that news story. Because I was like, please just stop assuming you know anything. Please
Right.
ask. Ask
Right.
how I'm doing.
Right.
Ask how the experience was. Because it fucking wasn't hard. I mean, going into where the location that I did, the first interview was at his old martial art studio. Being in that space was, very, I
Right.
won't say hard.
Of
It was
course.
emotional. When I walked
Right.
in, I started crying. But like speaking to a news reporter about him, I fucking talk about him all day, every day. Like that
Right.
wasn't hard for me, especially
Right.
knowing I'm providing a really good piece of information to Oklahoma that they need
To
to be aware of this. You know
Oklahoma.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
And so,
I got to say
yeah.
that too. Like, hey, I'm getting actually agitated. Like, I just wish people would ask me how I'm doing instead of assuming or making these blanket statements so that they can feel better or feel like they're supporting me. That's not how I
Right.
feel supported. I want you to
Right.
ask how I'm doing or send me love, but don't try to just like send me something that I can't even respond to because you're making all these
Respond.
assumptions,
Right.
So again, I leaned into my humanity there too because
Perfect.
like 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, Melissa, why are you so agitated? They're just trying to support you. You know why I'm
Right.
so agitated? Because I'm fucking grieving. And that's what
Right.
happens. You
Yes.
can't
And I'm
help.
only 3
You
months
can't
in.
help
Oh
what
my God.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That
cannot help what my body responds to. I cannot help it.
responds.
I can help the
Right.
next step. And used to, the next step would have been so much more hateful because I would have been warring with myself about the
Right.
fact that I felt agitated. Versus
Yep.
now I go, okay, well, shit,
It is
which
what it
girl, you
is.
need a nap or what? What's the
So
next step?
what's the next step? And okay, you perfectly said, and again, I want to highlight it to make sure people don't miss it because this is what I needed then, and even just to hear it now. The thread throughout everything you shared when I said, how is spirituality a source? Was self compassion, self love.
Mm-hmm.
You loved yourself enough. You had enough self compassion to allow yourself to give yourself that permission. You didn't shame yourself. You didn't judge yourself. You, throughout this whole conversation, is the thread is self compassion.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gift of spirituality. Where spiritual bypasses blocks us, the gift of spirituality is that self-compassion. Just say, this is hard. I'm grieving. So this is what I'm doing. That's the gift. That's why we lean on spirituality.
Yes.
Not to be perfect, not to perform, all of that we've talked about. It's to offer ourselves spirituality in the messiness of life.
Oh my God, so true. And you know what you just highlighted for me personally too was when I first started my little healing journey and I started to understand a lot of the ways I was emotionally unavailable. What I learned was that I used to operate from a place of spite. And
Yes.
when I learned to operate from a place of love and compassion for myself first, everything
Right.
shifted. And what I've
Everything shifted.
noticed,
Oh gosh, yeah.
everything. But I'm noticing what's really common, particularly in the child loss space, is that motivation from spite.
Okay.
And it really triggers me. Like I've been a little leery to enter a lot of those spaces because
Yeah.
it's really overwhelming and I'm not
Well,
aligned with that. I mean, I'm
right.
not shaming anyone, but it's just not me. And I'm registering now that my nervous system is seeing spite as unsafe
Unsafe.
now because
Right.
I have practiced so much love for myself. But before it was the natural, it's what
Right.
felt safe, like
If
to
what
go
right.
and operate from spite. Everything I did in my former self was from spite. Everything was to prove someone else wrong or
Yes.
me right or
Yes.
validate something that wasn't real anyway. Whereas now it's just about showing up in a way that feels good for me.
And that good, again, that you're being in the thread perfectly. It's not good like I get what I want. I have power over people, over situations. It's good meaning self-compassion. It's
Mm-hmm.
good meaning grounded. It's good meaning you are loving yourself so then you can love others.
Peace.
is peace. And
Yeah.
not peace when you get what you want.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
and that's the thing is that I've really seen this in my marriage whenever I've learned because in the little spite arena, I also believed very heavily in fighting for justice, and there was always a very clear right and a very clear wrong and a
yes.
very clear bad and a very clear good.
Zero
Now,
gray.
Laura, we know I was always the right person, so it was really tough to be married to such a wrong person,
Yep.
but I was constantly like, well, we need a resolution to this issue, and that resolution needs to be you, professing, declaring, invoking, and decreeing that you will never make that mistake again because it hurt my feelings. And B, just acknowledging how wrong you are and how right I am. That will go a long way. So that's how we resolve this. And I'm so serious. I couldn't get over shit without that. And so I
Mhm.
could maybe ignore it for a couple hours and then I'd be walking back through and I'm like, and then, another thing, I just think it's funny that, like
Yep.
just constantly just at a war with myself, creating
War.
chaos where there
Yeah.
was none, but making it so visceral in my house.
Yep.
And I remember one day, this was not like that long ago, like it was at least a year into the whole like healing stuff.
Healing.
But I remember
Yeah.
being like, okay, so I know this as a theory. I don't know this intimately yet, but I'm hearing I have to adjust my expectations and da da da. Like, we're both humans. We both matter as much here, even though I don't fully believe that yet. I didn't. I mean, that's just the truth. My
Right.
feelings matter more. So get with that and we'll be fine. And my experience matters more was really like it was like, okay, I can hear you, but like if we have to choose who's going to be bothered here, it can't be me. So if it's not like between you and me, I'm always on your side. But if I have to pick who's going to be upset here, not going to pick myself. So that was a real Leo moon ass, that's all that is a Leo
Yeah.
moon. And so I really had to like go, okay, in this scenario that we are fighting about, is what I'm asking for fair? No, because I'm operating from this assumption that there is a right or wrong here,
Wrong.
and we're both right and we're both valid. Like, he is not less valid than I am.
Right.
And that was the beginning of some real work for me. It's
Yes.
not something I'm great at yet. I will be
I was
honest
gonna
about that.
say, and that's the whole point. We've been highlighting this conversation. It is a continual choice and progress every day. The goal is not to be ta-da, I'm perfectly human and we never bother each other again. The goal is to
Right.
be we're both willing to work on it, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
willing to continue to work on my extremes is either right or wrong. Right? That is the whole theme of this conversation. Spiritual bypass, at least for me, blocked my progress. Using spirituality as a gift allows me to work through the messiness, the craziness of humanity. And also, we touched on this before, the good, when things are good, allowing them to be good.
Yes.
Or, okay, again, I want to say what you said. I don't mean good like I get everything I want. It's good like I'm good because I have peace and love for myself.
Yes. Yeah. Because, it's that peace and love for yourself that, like, when I have an interaction with anyone, I literally every time will go, how do I feel about like how
Yeah,
what's my body feel like? Literally, what
right,
is my body experiencing after that? Am I tense? Am I agitated? Am I at peace? Like
right.
is there what's going on internally that reflects this situation? And if I feel tense, then I question that. Why what would you change if you needed to change something? What would it be? Oh, I don't feel like I'm showing up as my best self whenever I'm, cussing my husband out. So, for that, if I want to show up as my best self, yeah, I think cussing him out a little less is probably going to be better. Okay, great. So next time, let's try not to, you know, cuss at him. Okay,
Right.
great. It's literally that type of thing where if I am not feeling centered and grounded after an
Grounded.
interaction, which
Yes.
can also happen just because I'm still real afraid of confrontation. So, like, if I have to
Right.
confront someone, I don't feel good about it right
Don't feel
then.
good.
I'm
Yeah.
dysregulated as all hell. So I got to
Right.
check in. What's going on? How do I feel? You feel dysregulated. Oh, I'm noticing an increase in heart rate. I'm noticing my shoulders are tense. Okay. Why? Why did that? Oh, you felt a little unsafe because you had to speak how you really felt about something. Okay, are you unsafe? No, we're safe. We're good. We love ourselves. We're, like we didn't do anything wrong. No one's in trouble. You're allowed to speak,
Right.
all the things, and then giving myself all the love that I didn't get as a 5-year-old and then moving
Right.
on. Like
Moving
how
on.
do I feel about it? And listen, most of the time I can still have peace even if I don't feel great about something. I'm like, oh yeah,
Right.
that wasn't my best self, sis. That wasn't it.
Yep.
Okay, well next time I will, and then I'm gonna move on because
Move on.
anything other than that truly is shame, and it has
Child,
no
that's what I'm
place.
just thinking in my head. That's shame.
Yep.
Like we can say, oh, there I go again, just like beating ourselves up, shaming ourselves rather than saying,
Yes,
all
but
right, it
my
is what
best
it is
self
next time.
isn't that. My best self is so kind and
I know.
so loving and giving. I know that. I know that. So
Yes.
that's my true essence, my humanity and the fact that I have hormones and extraneous variables that, sometimes I lean into a little bit much and get a little cray cray. That's not my best self.
Right.
So why would I judge and shame that version of me? Who I am in my
Right.
soul is a very kind, loving, generous person. So that's if I want to continue to tap into that version of me, then I don't want to separate myself further through shame. And I want to say this
Right.
because it drives me fucking crazy to hear people say this. There have been several times where people have said to me, shame has a good purpose. Like some people just need a little shame. A
Oh,
little
that's
shame
so
goes a long way.
Southern. That's
And I'm
so
like,
Southern.
no, there's not a single time when shame is going to help anything. In fact, shame single-handedly can make a problem 1,000 times more dangerous than it was to begin with. Do you know how many things could be prevented if this intrusive thought that happened wasn't then internalized and a
Mm,
person shaming themselves to death for it to
mm.
where it grew exponentially and then they act from that shame? That happens every
Yep.
day.
And that immediately makes me think of Brene Brown's work, her TEDx talk, her books. I mean, I've read over and over and over, and I'm pretty sure she never talks about shame being good. It's
I
always
have not
exactly what
listened to that much of her to know.
it's all about. What everything this whole conversation, shame uh, makes us less than. It doesn't is what you said, it makes things worse. It
Mhm.
doesn't make things proactive, better. It doesn't lead us to peace and self-compassion and love. So it's like that's the
Yeah.
whole point of this conversation, not using spiritual bypass, blocking us from you basically being shame to allowing spirituality to be a gift to create that peace, that self-compassion, that love in all of our life, not to separate us from our life, but to be woven in the chaos, the difficulty, the good, the laughter.
Well, and you know what just came up for me when you said that was shame and bypassing, which is a form of shame because you have to tell yourself what a
Right.
dumbass you were for thinking the
Right.
thing.
Right.
So, all of that is this perpetuation of us placing someone else external of us on a pedestal or
Mhm.
us higher and them lower. Either way, we're spiritual. The true gift of spirituality is that oneness where you realize we're not any different. None of us are any different than the other. We look a little different. We've come to our, conclusions a little differently. Maybe it's a little different font, all the things. But when you tap into oneness and you realize none of
Mhm.
us are on a pedestal, I am neither higher nor lower than anyone else on this earth. We are just beings. And we each have a personal responsibility to ourselves to live a life of passion, purpose, joy, love, compassion, and peace. And anything outside of that, placing us or others on a pedestal, is truly our nervous system's way of protecting us from connection.
Wow. That's a mic drop moment. And I'm not saying that to be nice. I'm saying that because I genuinely will listen to this like 10 million times on record. That's exactly what shame and bypassing is. And I've never thought about that visual. We're putting ourselves or someone else on that pedestal. And the gift of spirituality is the oneness. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
You just said it perfectly. Everyone, please rewind and listen 12 million times
No, but
to that 1 minute.
seriously, that's why these conversations are so important, because other people hear learning in real time, but also the thing that's created when two people come together and have a conversation, it's like my energy, your energy, and the energy of the conversation is its own energy. And that's why I'm encouraging more and more people to do things like this, because this is another way that we grow.
We grow. Right. Right. Wow. That was truly what you just said was a game changer. The gift of spirituality is oneness. And when we create that pedestal, that's the shame, that's the block.
Yep. And that's all just lies trying to keep you separate from other people.
Right.
Well, Laura, okay, remind people, what your work is, where they can find you. Again, I will put all of the old links in the show notes, but, do your thing.
So the best place is my website. laurabratton.com has all the resources, the book, the speaking, the coaching, connecting. It's all there. So just go to that one place. And yes, thank you for the gift of this conversation today. It was absolutely, I came, I came as the guest and I'm walking around. It's like, oh wow, I received so much. So thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. I always love having you. All right, I'm pressing stop if you'll hang out for just a sec. I've lost my mouse. Hold on. There we go.
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share.
Emotionally unavailable.
All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming.
INDEPE and cut.